Good morning. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to get started with our college planning workshop. Yours truly was an official college planning workshop teacher this past summer. And I wasn't teaching anything I didn't already know, but I was able to organize all of my stuff much better. So today you need to take notes on this lecture. I will be sharing the presentation with you later, but for right now, you have to listen and take notes. Pause where you need to. Make sure you are keeping track of what questions you have and how this is going to relate to like you and your own college exploration journey. So here we go. So before we even start to think about specific colleges, specific schools, specific majors, anything like that, we have to really kind of like look inside and figure out like, what do you even want from college? And I have definitely been cramming down this whole, like, you got to have a college degree, it provides opportunity, like everything like that. But kind of like bigger, like what is it that you as an individual like want out of the college experience? Like, do you just want that college experience? Do you want to have something in common with other adults? Do you want to, learn and better yourself, provide a better future for your families? All of that stuff is really thinking about, just why is it that you're doing all of this work? So in Google Drive, you can pause this in just a second, but in Google Drive, I want you to create a folder very specifically for college applications and college planning, college research, just kind of having everything all in one spot. You'll be adding things to this over the next 2 years. Documents, to-do lists, scholarship stuff, and of course, everything is pretty much online these days. So I want everybody to create a folder right now, please and thank you. And then the other thing I need you to do is to make sure that you have a quote unquote professional non-school email because we don't use our FUHST emails when we are applying to colleges. It just makes things a little bit difficult later on because they're going to start sending stuff to that email when you get accepted, and like we turn off your access to FUHST email like a week after you graduate from high school. So we don't apply with those emails. Also want to make sure that your personal email is, vaguely adult in the sense that you're not putting soccer stud 69 or something stupid like that. You know who you are. My personal email is J.E. Ratty. So couple initials, last name. I would not recommend having like a ton of numbers or anything like that. Just keep it simple. Because, in theory, this could be an email that stays with you for a number of years. This is something I will be checking later on. I did tell you about this when we were doing resumes last year. So definitely make sure that you have that down. And then if you are creating your own email, I would super recommend that you utilize Gmail, just so you still have access to Google Drive and everything like that on, personally. Because it's, I don't know, I like being able to still access Google Docs, whatever. Okay. So this didn't skip. Here we go. So there's kind of like two versions of yourself that you are thinking about when we even begin thinking about schools that you're interested in. There's like your personal profile and like your academic profile. And you have to know what your needs are for both. Your personal profile is more like, I want to be near the beach. I want a school with a major music venue close by. Kind of like stuff like that, you know. Whereas your academic profile is like what you as a student need. I need to be in a school with small teacher to student ratios. I need to be in a student that offers support for first gen students. And then our task in that little like Venn diagram is to figure out what schools satisfy both. They do exist. I do think they do exist. I don't think there's any one school that's going to be absolutely perfect. You know, maybe its average GPA is too high, or maybe it's too close to home, or whatever. But that's really going to kind of help you figure out where this search is going to happen. You've actually already done the career interest and aptitudes assignment. So I would tell you to go back into last year's Avid folder. It's under archived classes or something like that, under courses, and revisit that. And see if it's the same, see if it's different. Have that in mind, because we got to figure some stuff out. Nope, we did that one. Okay, so we are going to be utilizing Naviance a lot during this process. You have to use it when we are applying to colleges and schools and stuff like that. I think most of you have logged in, but if you have not, then we're going to log in now. How can we do that? Let's figure it out together. So it's definitely going to be like on the Homestead site. And I might just, you know, Naviance. Right, so you're going to come in here, and it should just be like your kind of regular login information. I don't think it's anything spectacular or too different. If you don't remember your login information, that's something that you can go to the College and Career Center to help you figure out. The library can probably also help you. I can help you, just not at this moment. Okay, so we're going to pop in here and we're going to log into Naviance. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through this week and you are going to complete all of the career assessments. Okay, so here's all of the information about logging in, but I do want everybody to do all of these by the end of the week. So go through, you got to log into Naviance, so I need you to make sure that you can do this by Friday. and you're going to do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assessments to really kind of help you figure out what it is that you're interested in, and then also like what it is, what schools might be good matches for that, and everything like that. Okay. Then so we also need to talk a little bit about transcripts and GPAs and what the differences are between them and kind of what they mean. I will say that especially with the de-emphasis of the SAT, the GPA has become just like the #1 indicator of what schools are going to be likely matches for you or not. And it's like a reality. And I will tell you that because we're doing this work now, you should be able to like change it. if you don't like your GPA, there's still opportunity to raise it, but that depends entirely on you. Okay. There are a couple of different GPAs that we're going to be talking about. The first is your cumulative GPA. This is the combination of all of your classes from all of your high school years. So your freshman year GPA, your GPA for your, I don't know, your TA periods, your GPA for your not A through G approved elective classes, et cetera, everything all put together. Your unweighted 10 through 12, A through G GPA are only those classes from 10th, 11th, 12th grade that count towards your A through G requirements. So there's a poster on the side of the classroom over by my desk, right? That's the English classes. Those are your math classes, your visual performing arts, everything like that. Those GPAs are usually similar, but as we are starting the research process, you will see schools differentiating between the 10 through 12 and the cumulative GPA. Fremont does not calculate weighted GPAs, so some of you are earning weighted GPAs because of your honors or AP classes. And I have some calculators that I found for you here. I'm not gonna lie, I just went to Google and just found some weighted GPA calculators. And that is also a good indication of how you're doing. But your unweighted GPA is a truer measure of how you're doing. I know you're excited to be in honors and AP and to have like a B count as an A or whatever, but in real life, it's still a B, and that's what colleges are looking for. I know that I've been talking to a lot about grades for like multiple years at this point, and I've shared with you that I've never asked for 4.0. I've said having A's and B's makes your life easier, and that's true. I do just want to remind you that it's just a number. One of the things I hate in Silicon Valley is that we make it like the most important number in the entire world. It's not. We also have to get into acceptance a little bit in terms of where we are and what is currently available to us with how we've been doing, right? And like I said before, if you don't like how you've been doing, then we can work together to change it, right? Right. Okay, so now we're going to go through, again, we've done this before, to talk about the 4 main college systems that we're going to be talking about. I have some questions over here for you, again, just in terms of things to be thinking about, like, do you want to be in a suburban, or a rural environment? Do you want to stay in California or apply elsewhere? Where in California do you want to be, et cetera, et cetera? All of those things are important to think. Okay, so next is refreshing ourselves on what these college systems are, and just what our options are, and everything like that. I'm going to go through this a little quick, only because we have done this before, and you will have access to this as well. But we're going to start with our community colleges, our California community colleges, of course. These are often called junior colleges, two-year schools, things like that. We have a whole bunch that are really local to us. Of course, we have De Anza, we've got Foothill, West Valley, Mission, Cañada, College of San Mateo, Cabrillo, and San Jose City College. And two-year schools are where you do not have to, but where you can earn your associate's degree, your Associate of Arts or your Associates of Sciences. And you can take a quick look on De Anza or Foothill. They offer a whole bunch, all kinds of different things. The big thing about the community colleges, there's absolutely no entrance requirements. There's no GPAs, there's no SATs, there's no anything like that. You don't even need like a checkbook at this point, an ATM card at this point. But they're very easy to get into. You just have to have a pulse. Most campuses are what we call commuter campuses, which means you live at home or you live somewhere and you go there. There are a couple that do have dorms. So for those of you that are absolutely desperate to move away, but you are not ready or unable to get into a four-year school, there are some options. The absolutely biggest thing about the community colleges are the transfer agreements or the tag programs. Different community colleges have different transfer agreements with different four-year schools. But it's absolutely possible to, go over to Foothill, tell them this is where I want to be, this is where I want to major in. They'll tell you what you have to do, and it is a contract, and you have to fulfill that contract in order to transfer to those four-year schools. We've had a lot of avid students take this route. It's a great route if you fully commit yourself to it. The transfer rates, the rates of people that actually fulfill those transfer programs is actually pretty low. It's under 20%. Community college is almost free in the state of California. I do think that you are still paying for books and kind of things like that. And there are programs at different schools that offer support, again, to first gen or struggling students or whatever. But in my experience, I've had a lot of students go to community college, and then maybe they've upped their hours a little bit more at their part-time job. And they're like, oh my gosh, $17 an hour. I'm making so much money. I'm so rich. And then they work like a little bit more. And then maybe they take a quarter off from school. And then maybe they work a little bit more. And then maybe they take a year off from school. What I'm trying to say is a lot of students don't make the whole 2-year experience a priority, and so they end up staying for like a long time. I mean, I have avid students from avid 2015 that are still at the community college level because they've just kind of been taking classes here and there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no timeline to life, but they've also been struggling that entire time. So of course, I'm okay if you go the community college route. but you got to pinky swear to me that you're not taking more than 3 years. You got to move on. You got to move on. Okay. We will talk about community colleges as we go into senior year, but we are prioritizing the 4-year entrance experience. So the first one is going to be the CSU, California State University System. This is the one I love the most, TBH. And there are 23 campuses all up and down the state of California. The northernmost is Humboldt State University. The southernmost is San Diego State University. CSU's state schools, this is where you're going to get your bachelor's degree, your Bachelor of Arts, your Bachelor of Science. That's your like 4-year degree. And in our society today, in some ways, that is the new high school diploma, is just having that piece of paper is what opens up a lot of doors. It's not a guarantee, which like really sucks. It's not a guarantee, but it is at least a key to open a door to a lot of opportunities. Some CSUs are also going to offer master's degrees, Master of Science, Master of Arts. And then a couple offer Doctor in Education programs. Those are called EDD programs. But they are all over the state. Their average enrollment is like 22,000. Average means some are bigger, some are smaller. I want to say like Fullerton down in Orange County is like 40,000. San Diego State is a huge school, like they're all over the place, but some are really small, like 5,000. All of these schools are going to offer your general education programs. So at, I think all of them, you can do business, sociology, math, biology, things like that. Some schools are going to offer specific programs that may interest some of you. If you're interested in like criminal justice stuff like that, then Sacramento State, CSU Bakersfield. If you have an interest in exercise biology, kinesiology, then Fullerton or San Marcos. If you have an interest in environmental science, then like Sonoma State or Humboldt State, et cetera, et cetera. So some schools are going to have specific programs, and that's going to be part of your research as well. Some are in big cities, some are absolutely in the middle of nowhere. Again, it kind of depends on what you want, what you're ready for, what's good for you, things like that. You get in primarily, like almost completely, on your GPA and your extracurriculars. We're gonna have a long talk about the SAT, but currently it is your GPA and your extracurriculars. That's it. There's no application essay, there's no letters of recommendation, there's no nothing, okay? And so it's a very black and white process, which could be good, but it also could not be good. It just depends on your profile. Average acceptance rate is 40%. Some are higher than others, some are lower than others, but they are meant to be accessible schools for the population of California. That is the point of the CSU system. I love the CSU system. I think there's a lot of really, really cool schools, really, really cool programs. It's going to cost you about $8,000 a year, which in the grand scheme of things is not terrible. Some school, and that's not including room and board. That's not including dorms or meal plans or anything like that. That's just tuition, right? But something to keep in mind. Okay, the next system is the University of California, the UC system. This is another public school system in the state of California. Our state is so big and so amazing that we have 2 public college systems. I think Texas does, I think New York does. Makes sense. Those are the other big population states. There are very technically 10 schools. However, you can only apply to 9. UC San Francisco is only a graduate school. This is also where you're going to earn your 4-year degree, your bachelor's degree. All schools also have master's programs. Some schools have PhD, law, or med programs as well. I should also add VMD, veterinary medicine degrees as well. When you do go to grad school, by the way, you do have to reapply. It's not an automatic, oh, I'm just going to stay at UC Santa Barbara forever. Like you have to reapply. And most people, honestly, change schools between degrees. I was just a nerd and I just stayed. Again, you'll be able to major in pretty much anything while you are at these campuses, but some campuses do have specific specialties. Anything having to do with engineering is like a Berkeley, like a Davis. Anything having to do with biology is going to be like a San Diego, a Davis. Anything with business is going to be like a Riverside. Anything with medicine is going to be like an Irvine, et cetera, et cetera. And that is because the UC schools are research institutions, which means they put their money, they put their funds into specific areas. Okay. Like Davis is a big environmental science, animal science, food science school, but I didn't major in any of those. So it's not like you have to. It just means that a lot of resources on campus are going to that kind of specific program. It also means if you are trying to go to like the best bio school in the UC system, which is probably San Diego, it also means you're competing with that many more people in order to get in. So you have to use some logic as well. These are much bigger schools. Average enrollment is around 30,000. I think the smallest is Merced at like 15,000. And then, oh gosh, UCLA is above like 45,000. I don't know what to tell you. These are competitive schools. They will not even look at your application unless you have a 3.0, as in like automatically they reject you if you don't have a 3.0. So these are still really, really great options. But I do want to remind you that that minimum 3.0 is a minimum. Most people that are applying and getting into UCs, I would say have, a 3.5 or above. There are some schools that have higher acceptance rates. It's relatively easy to get into Merced, Riverside, Santa Cruz to some degree. But you still have to be like on top of it. You still have to have good extracurriculars. You're also going to write application essays. They're called focus questions. We are all going to be working on these questions together, whether you're applying to the UC or not, second semester of this year. The average acceptance rate is around 30%, so a 1 in 3 chance, but that is much lower depending on the school and the program. UCLA is really competitive, you know this. UC Berkeley is really competitive, you know this. Tuition is going to be about 14 grand a year. Again, that does not include your room and board. The other option that a lot of us are going to be looking at are private schools. There are some obviously like incredibly famous private schools just really, really close to us. Of course, we have Stanford just up the road. And every rumor you've heard about getting into Stanford is absolutely true. But I will tell you that not all schools are Stanford. Like literally on Homestead Road is Santa Clara University, and it's about the same as it takes to get into a UC. They're all over this place, all over the place. They're all over the state. I'm talking like dozens, if not hundreds. What programs are, what schools are going to be really depends. Some of them are religious, some of them are not. They tend to be smaller schools, okay? They can have more forgiving entrance rates. However, what doesn't change is the price tag. These schools are incredibly expensive. Like at least 30 grand a year just for tuition. Okay. What I will say is that because they cost more money, they have more money to give away. The CSUs and the UCs are really good at supporting students whose families like truly struggle financially. But if you are more kind of like middle class type people, you're not going to get a ton of money from the public schools. You could, however, have a solid amount of financial aid from the private schools. So I don't want you to completely rule them out, because we have sent some really, really amazing students to some really, really great schools. And they, quite frankly, can be much more specific about the types of students that they're looking for. In addition to the common application essay, you also need teacher letters of recommendation. Those teachers should be from junior year. That's the best year to ask. It could be from sophomore year if you feel like you had like a really good connection with a teacher from sophomore year, although that'd be pretty incredible because none of us were at school. This could be a teacher that knows you. It needs to be a high school teacher that just knows you really well, both as a person and as a student. We'll talk more about that later. Really quickly, there are some other options as well. Like, of course, there are out-of-state schools, like, you know, other states have colleges as well. They are all over the place in terms of what is offered, how much they cost, admission requirements, everything like that. I'm going to teach you about the WUI, the Western Undergraduate Exchange, and I'm going to show you how it can be cheaper in some cases to go out of state than it could be to go to a school in California. It is possible, so keep your mind open to that as well. I don't think any of you have told me that you're interested in international schools, so we'll not deal with that right now. I think that's all we're going to do at the moment. So back to this. How can you quote unquote visit colleges, especially when you know, we don't get to go all the time? Of course, we have our Avid field trip this fall, and then we have our Southern California trip going on in spring break. I would just get on YouTube. I would do a casual road trip with some friends, and of course, going to the school's actual sites as well. Okay, so that was a super lot of information, but that is just to kind of like center us in terms of what our options are and some of the most basic steps in figuring it out. Like I said, you're going to go through on Friday, and you're going to take all of those Naviance quizzes to really, really get you in a pretty for sure direction in terms of what you want to study, or at least what you want to like do or be. And I am telling you that you need to have at least 3 ideas so that we can figure out what schools are going to be good for you. All right. Hope that was helpful, and I'll talk to you later.